What does it mean to be voidist? What is this term? How does it apply to an individual? What is a voidist? So, if we're going to dive into this, we have to think of the Greek definition and understanding of virtue. Imagine virtue as a gem. So all the different virtues that one may have, patience, courage, compassion, detachment, dispassion, wisdom. Think of all of these as different faces, different sides of a gem. At the center, there's a different understanding of this. It could be oneness. It could be perfection. It could be completion of all the different virtues, whatever it is. Think of all the different virtues as different sides of a gem. These different cuts that we see on a jagged surface. And the further we go into the gem, whatever surface that you enter on, let's say that you enter on courage, the further you go into that gem, the further through that entrance that is courage, the further that you go in, the more that you have the other virtues as well. You might have more patience. You might have more detachment, dispassion. Put those in the same category. You might have more compassion. But wherever you enter into that gem is completely up to your personality, who you are as an individual. Where you enter very much kind of defines, assuming you do it correctly, assuming you figure out what your virtue to start with is, that very much defines who you are as a person. And that might sound strange. We usually like to try to have many different virtues: compassion, courage, true strength, dispassion, intellect, wisdom. We think of all these different virtues and we try to cultivate all of them, which is good. But if you truly understand yourself as an individual, as a spiritual being, if you truly understand your nature, the nature of this life that you have right now, you will find one thing that you're going to perfect. And perhaps you don't need to start out by knowing this, and perhaps you have to cultivate a bunch of different virtues before you reach this one thing, before you figure out what this one thing is. But in this life, for this lifetime, and for this analysis, you have to accept that there is this one thing, but there is one thing that you're meant to accomplish and completely accomplish in this lifetime. This also kind of asserts that you have more than one lifetime, but reincarnation, things like that. But if you found that one thing, this is where you can enter into truly mastering all the other virtues, truly achieving all the other virtues. This might sound very prideful or egotistical, but lack of ego, humility is also a virtue. You can enter into that virtue through patience. You can enter into that virtue through compassion. You can enter into that virtue through courage. Different faces on the gem. And you'll get closer to the perfection of all virtues at the very center, if that's what you think is at the center. Some people think that at the center of the gem of virtue is love. Some people think it's a void. But going back to the void idea, I would assert that the void is all around this gem. This is very pictorial, ideographic, but I'll try to break it down. So the gem is at the center. All the different sides of the gem, all the different edges, flat surfaces, are virtues that you enter into the gem through. And once you get towards the center, you're closer to mastering all virtues or achieving a great proficiency in attaining all these virtues. Now, once you reach a certain level, once you reach a certain density, a certain distance within that gym, you'll start to want to turn around and see where you came from. When you turn around, you start to realize that where you came from was a place of ignorance, but it still got you this far. But beyond that, beyond the gym itself, beyond all these virtues themselves, there's this void. And now this void around the gym is a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. Now, knowledge and understanding, they increase exponentially and infinitely. The virtues, there's only a certain level of virtue that somebody can reach in an individual life. But the void around the gym of virtue is infinite. You can keep on going further and further with knowledge, with understanding, with how much knowledge. But it is an infinite space. And once you reach a certain level of virtue, it is your task to turn around and try to expand your horizons as far as how much you know, how much you understand. And all of this expansion around the gym will brighten the gym, even if the gym is confined to a certain amount of space, because we are confined to a certain amount of being. The void around the gym is not confined. It is infinite. You can have an infinite amount of knowledge and an infinite amount of understanding. It does not end. The task of the Voidist is to pick a virtue, persevere through that virtue. How can I gain more patience? How can I gain more compassion? How can I gain more wisdom? How can I gain more courage? How can I gain more consistency? There's anything that you consider as a virtue that are just different words for very similar things is in that gym, but it is still in a confined space. That gym has a confined amount of being to it. But once you reach or go towards the center of it, and you reach a certain level of virtue, you want to turn around and figure out what's around this gym. This is very much, once again, ideographic, trying to divulge understanding through visualization. But the Voidist will, once they reach a certain level within that gym, will want to turn around and dive into the void of knowledge and understanding for their entire lives. To never be satisfied with a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of understanding, and to improve oneself, to increase the vibrancy and the light in that gym at the center through the expansion of knowledge and understanding around that gym into the void. That's what it is to be Voidist. Now, Voidist isn't a term in English. Voidism is barely a term. It's an old Buddhist term, Voidism. And it kind of means a belief that of a void, that there's like a void around things that we can go towards, pierce, go within, but that there's this void around things. And that this void, there's nothing in this Buddhist term that talks about what's in the void or what the void is. But you'll hear a lot of void talk in terms of the void in which the heart exists, or the void between realms, between dimensions, or the void of that consciousness kind of travels through. Because consciousness, once you meditate enough, you start to feel that your consciousness is a point. And then when you're meditating, you realize that this point of perspective that is consciousness, can look in all directions, but it can never look at itself, but it can look in all directions and go in any direction. Though it doesn't matter which direction it goes in, It matters what it chooses to kind of manifest or focus on rather than the distance it goes within meditation. But anyway, it is not a well-defined term. Voidist is not a term. Voidism is barely a term. It's an old Buddhist term. But I chose to kind of use it as a voidist, as a way of describing my philosophy of that gem, which is ancient Greek term of the different virtues or different facets of the gem. That's an old Greek idea. But the voidist realizes there's a void around that. And at some point you have to turn back and expand understanding and knowledge, and it brightens that gem. All of that is mine. Voidist philosophy, Voidism as a philosophy, that's based on a book that I wrote, that I haven't been able to get published, but that I wrote. And it's something that I hope to get published in the future. But I think an application to human beings in this world, I think that voidism would help a lot. Because think about it. If you believe that there's a virtue that you can enter all virtues through, and you'll acquire greater magnitude or intensity of all the other virtues by entering through this one facet, you'll keep on trying and trying and trying. And as I hypothesize, the other virtues will increase as well. But compassion is a key facet. Love, compassion, whatever you want to call it, is a key facet of the gem. I would say that love and compassion is at the center of that gem. And perhaps love and compassion are different things for you, but I think love and compassion for me are the same thing. It's at the center of that gem. And the void is around. And I think that once we increase in love and compassion, we want to be kind to others. We want to help others. Not force them to, because would we have patience if we wanted to force people into our virtues? No, but to help other people. It's a natural escalation of determinism. That once you focus on working on yourself more and more and more, you'll eventually reach a state to where you have no choice but to be kind to others, to be compassionate for others, to gain more knowledge, to not be satisfied with the knowledge that you have. And it's not about satisfaction, because satisfaction is an entirely different thing, but to not stop learning, to not stop understanding, and to not stop loving. And I believe that this philosophy can expand all those things: love, understanding, knowledge. There's a lot more to it, a whole lot more. But I feel like, and I've always felt, voidism or something like it, something like what I'm presenting to you, would be an answer to so many of the problems that the world has. Because voidism is not about asserting a certain religious idea, saying that you have to believe this, that you even have to believe in a God at all, or that you have to have this set of spiritual beliefs, or that you have to have this set of political beliefs, or that you have to have this set of... The philosophical beliefs is the core of voidism, but it's so wide open yet so path-oriented that I think that this could be an answer to a lot of what is going wrong in the world today. And once again, there's a lot more to it, but in the amount of time that I have set for myself, I'll try to expand a little bit. So much of what's wrong in the world has to do with an identification with a certain political view, a certain spiritual or religious view, or a certain societal view. And I think that, in a way, these are kind of like that gem of virtue, but they're dead ends. We try to be virtuous. We try to enter into the gem of virtue, And then we get caught in these dead ends. I think politics is a dead end. I think society, in the examples that we have, are dead ends. And I think that religions are dead ends, not spirituality. I don't feel like that's a dead end. But I feel like we're all being caught in the gym and not realizing that we're stuck in it. So we never reach the point where we turn around and look from where we came, truly try to figure out where we came from and what was the nature of our looking. Few people try to do that. And there's ways to do that. There's science, analyzing energy patterns, radiation from the Big Bang, what happened before the Big Bang, if there was a before, if time worked the same way. Science is just as much a part of this as spirituality. And then analyzing through spiritual texts, figuring out how everything started, where we came from, why we are where we are, why we started from where we were as an individual. Analyzing with that was science and spiritual text, spirituality. It can lead us beyond where we imagined we could be, because we're looking back, but not looking back trying to repeat, but trying to understand. And if we understand where we came from, scientifically, spiritually, then we can chart a course for places and levels that we have never imagined. But it requires knowledge, it requires understanding, and it requires a desire to look. Just to look, analyze, make your own decisions, but try to find. Instead of being stuck in those dead ends of that gym, piercing far enough into the gym of virtue to where you want to turn around. And then when you turn around and analyze all of human history, I've tried to learn a lot of human history. I have a lot of it in my head, probably more than I should. I shouldn't say more than I should, but I'm obsessed with history. But I want to understand how all of this came to be, how it is, and why. The understanding part of that expansion of knowledge is vital to you as an individual, trying to figure out why, reflecting upon the knowledge that you gain. But I think it requires with starting at a certain virtue. And the 3 C's for a Voidist are compassion, constancy, and courage. It's a little bit different than the gym idea. Compassion, constancy, and courage. These are 3 lights that will guide you into the gym and into the void around the gym. Compassion, constancy, courage. If you have enough compassion, you'll want to do this for everyone's benefit and for yourself. If you have enough courage, you can do what you need to do in the world, or at least as courage as a goal. You strive to do what you need to do in the world, even if it's scary, even if you don't want to, but you face that fear. And if you have enough constancy, that can be thought of as patience. Constantly walking your path, like just constantly going forward, constantly keep on doing what you're doing, keep on working towards your virtue, and then keep on working towards knowledge and understanding. That is very vital as well. You have to keep on trying and trying and trying and keep on doing and doing and doing and doing it consistently. Compassion for yourself and others. That'll help you along this. Courage to do what you need to do. And constancy. The repetitive nature of our task, but keep on doing it. These are 3 lights that'll guide you through the void around that gym of virtue. Anyway, I think I've said enough. I think I've gone on long enough. And I hope that I've made sense. If you watched this video to this point, leave a comment, tell me that you watched to this point. I greatly appreciate it. And feel free to say whatever you want. I read all comments and I try to respond to all comments. Like this video, it really helps out the channel, and feel free to share this wherever you like. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Think about Voidism. Does this make sense to you? And I hope all of you have a wonderful day.